All right, this is Kenny Wright with Welsh Hormone Optimization, back for another training day. Today is abs, calves, and traps. I always just lump them together, abs, calves, traps. But we do these on kind of off days when we've hit everything else, and these are kind of the neglected things that people forget about. So it's good to just lump them all together in one of your off days, or if you're sore everywhere else and want to change it up a little bit. This is a good day to do it. So starting off here with a little twisters with the broom handle there. And we'll be supersetting those back and forth. So going into seated ab chair. And these are good, I feel like, because they give you, a big stretch and you can weight them. And if you build thicker abs and you're lean, they're going to show even more because, they're deeper, so you have a deeper nook for your skin to, go into between your abs. And I think that's a strong point for me, um, is that I've always done abs kind of heavy and I really stretch them, so it builds a lot of separation between them and it builds thickness in the abs themselves. You hear people call, dinner roll abs, and I feel like exercises that we'll be going through today kind of help build those. So jumping into her set. You don't need a ton of weight with these. You can see, that's like the first stack there, but just the resistance is good, and the fact that you're pulling your knees up and crunching down at the same time, this is a good machine. And I think every gym has something at least comparable to this, so use that. Another set for me. Just squeeze, stretch, squeeze, stretch. I think people don't come back enough on abs. They just stay kind of in a little tight crunch position, and I think it helps to really stretch them apart while you're doing it. These here are good. I kind of do a vacuum while I'm doing them, to where you suck, your abs in and expand your rib cage. But these twists like this help build obliques for one, but serratus development, which is kind of riblets, and that makes a big difference visually. That makes a good set of abs visually from the front, obviously. Moving into these rope curls, this is literally my absolute favorite. If I had one ab exercise that I was only allowed to do one, it would be this. You can do these heavy. They have massive stretch up and a big squeeze down, and you can twist while you're doing them. You can see probably when I get into my set, I'll do them kind of three ways. I'll do straight, side, straight to the other side, and that kind of builds the whole entire package all at once. Like I said, these are heavy, so you can make that thickness and density in your ab muscles, and then coming up, resisting, gives you the separation and pulls them apart. So visually, you have deep, separated abs. There I go. And I keep them in front of my head. Some people kind of keep them, right next to their ears or so. But just whatever feels comfortable. It makes more leverage. It makes them harder for me to keep them further out. So it's leverage working against you. So, and I do them heavy, like, depending on, the pulley machines obviously all generate different resistance, but I think I was on like 130 or something like that pounds of resistance, but it doesn't matter, just whatever you can tolerate. And I get a lot of reps out of these. See, I'm going three ways like I was talking about. Straight, off to the other side, kind of tweak your elbow. That works, the opposing side of the side that you're twisting. Yeah, kind of got lost with what I was talking about. No big deal. Moving through her set. See, she kind of does them as she comes down. They kind of pull on the side of her head. When I do them, I try to keep my back super flat. Not saying that she's doing them wrong, but it just shows the difference in posture in different people. So just find what works for you, but these are just freaking great for everybody. And I think that, Arnold and them used to do these back in the day. They all had great abs. another set. See, I try to keep my back super flat when I'm doing them and keep the rope in front of my head. Like I said, it creates leverage against me. You can see, I mean, that's a good amount of weight there. It's heavy, hard. And you work your abs like you work any other muscle. I think people are afraid to work abs heavy because they think it's going to make their stomach big or make them look fat. And this is semi-rude-ish thing to say, but that's not the case. If you think that abs are making your stomach bigger, you're probably just building muscle and pushing your fat out. And that sounds messed up, but it is what it is. So bring your body fat down, and then your developed abs can show through finally. So moving on to calves. I have a little theory with calf work. Not that I have amazing calves. That's a genetic uphill battle for me, but that's fine because I have abs. So, but I always do these seated calf raises first because generally it's the body takes on the load with your outer calf muscles. They're stronger. They're worked more frequently. So this is like a pre-exhaustion for the outer calf muscle. If your knee's bent at a 90-degree angle like that, you almost can't engage your inner calf muscle. So you do these, not crazy heavy, and you get some good reps out of them. You're pre-exhausting that outer head of the calf. That way, when you go to a standing calf raise, now your inner calf can actually engage. The outer calf is already pre-exhausted, so even more of the pressure is going on the inner calf, which most people lack. And then you can really stimulate that inner calf for growth. So that's my theory there. So with these, one thing that I will say, how she kind of has her toes pointed out like that. Um, when you move your toes in and out on like a standing calf raise, yeah, you can change the pressure. Um, Obviously, if your toes are pointed in, then you're going to be working a little more outer calf. If your toes are pointed out, you're going to be working a little more inner calf. But on these, like I was saying, when your knee's bent at a 90-degree angle like that, you're kind of inhibiting that inner calf from working. So if your toes are pointed out, it's not really going to matter. It's not going to put the pressure on your inner calf because it's not really able to engage when your knee's bent. But on standing calf raises, it's a completely different story. You can shift the focus to inner and outer. So we're going to standing calf raise machine. You just kind of get in there, select the height so that obviously it suits your own shoulder height. Okay, we skipped right over those, so no big deal. So those, what I was saying back there is when you go from the seated calf raise that are pre-exhausting your outer calf, and then you move to a standing calf raise, most of the pressure is on your inner calf. So that's how you develop inner calf muscles. And you can put your toes outward to hit more inner with standing ones. So here, moving on to traps, doing some Smith machine shrugs. I try to grip pretty wide on shrugs, and especially when the bar's from the front, grip pretty wide to where when you're squeezing, your shoulders are coming inward, like at a triangle, if that makes sense. So see, my shoulders I'm pinching them inward and together. So I feel with these in front of you, and I'll do some behind me too, but with these in front of you, I feel like it's working a little more your upper trap, obviously, but your upper trap on your back. So I feel when you stand in front of the bar, and you can only really do that on the Smith machine at least, so that you can kind of walk away from it a little bit without it just following you, like it would with a barbell. When we switch over to the ones that are you're standing in front of the bar and shrugging behind your back and your butt, I feel like that works your trap more from the front, or visually what would show from the front. So I just do maybe 3 sets of each, increasing weight as I go. And they're heavier, when you're standing in front of it, it's harder to get the same amount. When the bar is in front of you, you can get more weight than when you're standing in front of the bar. So you kind of drop the weight down on those ones, or your reps have to come down, one of the two. So there, big squeeze, squeezing your traps together. See, this is what I'm talking about. You can kind of step away from it a little bit, where you couldn't do that with a just straight bar because it would just come behind you and hit you in the ass. So these are a good way to do those. And you see how she lightened up. And you're squeezing them. Your shoulder blades are coming, your shoulders are coming up and forward. I feel like that it works more of your, your trap on top and what would show from the front. We're getting into my set. So you pick them up. You can kind of step away. I keep one foot in front of me just to brace me a little bit more. And start squeezing. And they will hit you in the butt. It just is what it is. You just work with it. So this is a good way. I mean, traps need to be developed. They need to be thick in the rear, thick in the front. And this is just how I work them. I don't do a whole lot of dumbbell shrugs, anything like that. Traps get worked in a lot of other things, but this is my one time to give them their own special little attention. So just kind of step out, shrug them up, squeeze them up. Yeah, they're getting worn out pretty quick. So that is traps. And showing the fruits of the labor going on there. Those are dinner roll abs there. Like I was talking about when you're twisting side to side, when you're using the brooms, there you go, some serratus. And that is abs, calves, and traps. And we're done.